Forming negatives. In the case of negatives, stage 1 seems to involve a simple strategy of putting no or not at the beginning, as in the examples. Not a teddy bear, no fall, no sit there. So, in the first stage, the child simply use no or not. In the second stage, the additional negative forms are used. Don't and can't appear, and with no and not are increasingly used in front of the verb rather than at the beginning of the sentence, as in the example. So, along with no and not, the child is using don't and can't. He no bite you, I don't want. So you can see that at what time he uses no, and at other time the child uses don't. That not touch, you can't dance. Now we come to the third stage of the child's development of the negative. The third stage sees the incorporation of other auxiliary forms such as didn't and won't, while the typical stage forms disappear. So the typical stage form, first form, in which the child uses no or not, simply putting no and not before verb or before the expression. Now the child has learned to use typical negative forms, can't, won't, etc. A very late acquisition is the negative form isn't, with the result that some stage form with not instead of isn't continue to be used for quite a long time, as in the examples. I didn't caught it, he not taking it, she won't let go, this not ice cream. So the study of developing use of negative form has produced some delightful examples of children operating their own rules for negative sentences. So during these developmental stage, these children keep on using their own examples of or their own method of making negative sentences. One famous example from McNeil also shows the futility of overt adult correction of children's speech. So if the adult start correcting the child, so sometime it is of no use. Rather, child will have their own method of making negative sentences. So we can have an example. Child, nobody don't like me. Mother, no, say nobody likes me, because in the first sentence it will be a double negative, which according to English language will be a positive meaning. Mother tries to correct the child. Child, nobody don't like me. 8 repetition of this dialogue. So the child is not prepared to follow or to imitate the way the mother has corrected the child. The child has their own method of forming negatives. Mother, no, now listen carefully, say nobody likes me, right? The mother tries to teach the child to say correct form, but the child seems to be persistent. Child, oh, nobody don't likes me. So the child is still there, nobody don't likes me, and he is not ready to follow the example given by the mother. So we see that these are the learning or acquiring stages of the children of their mother language, and during this period they make their own rules. They learn first language not by imitation. They form their own rules, and with the passage of time they learn to use language correctly as being used by the adults.